King Charles is reportedly at his breaking point with Prince Harry over ongoing claims, and there's talk of a deliberate freeze-out. Meghan Markle has levelled accusations of mistreatment against William and Charles. Harry's UK visit is mired in drama, and new court papers in his case are making waves. Stick with me as we break down every part of this story and what it could mean going forward. Right now, the biggest story is Prince Harry's planned trip back to the UK. What was supposed to be a meaningful family visit tied to Invictus Games events has turned into a public mess of conflicting reports, last-minute changes, and clear frustration from Buckingham Palace. According to multiple sources, King Charles initially offered Harry and his family accommodation at Buckingham Palace as a gesture, but that offer got pulled after what insiders describe as missed deadlines and back and forth over security arrangements. One report even quoted the King's side essentially saying, "Sorry, but you are late." That kind of blunt response tells you a lot about where things stand. Charles has been dealing with his own health challenges, and it seems the constant chaos around Harry's visits is testing his patience beyond what he's willing to keep indulging. There are whispers that this is part of a broader shift, not a full public cutting off, but a quiet pulling back. The King still wants to see his son, and especially his grandchildren, but he's not willing to keep rearranging everything and absorbing the leaks and drama that seem to follow every attempt at a visit. You can see why some people are reading this as the start of a freeze-out. After years of public claims from Harry and Spare and interviews, the trust inside the palace has taken real damage. There are reports of divided opinions among Charles's team. Some advisors, often called the Hawks, believe Harry's behaviour has gone too far and that the monarchy gets harmed every time news stories drop. Others still want to keep the door open because at the end of the day, this is a father and grandfather who doesn't want to lose his family completely. Charles is apparently in the second camp, but even he has limits, and those limits seem to be showing up in practical ways like the withdrawn palace invitation and tighter control over any meetings.
That brings us to the reports about King Charles being frustrated by what he sees as Harry's false or exaggerate claims.
We all remember the big ones from Spare. The conversations about skin colour, the way the family handled Meghan, the feeling of being cut off financially and emotionally. From the palace perspective, a lot of that landed as unfair and one-sided. They feel Harry aired private family business in a way that hurt the institution and his own relatives, especially while Charles was dealing with cancer treatment. When you combine that with the steady stream of stories that still seem to come out around every visit, it's easy to understand why some insiders say the King has had enough and is quietly reducing Harry's access and involvement. It's not dramatic banishment, but it's a clear cooling. On the other side, Meghan Markle has continued to speak sometimes directly, sometimes through reports about feeling mistreated and isolated during her time as a working royal. There have been claims that there was an active effort to drive a wedge between Harry and his family, and that both Prince William and King Charles were part of making her feel unwelcome. These accusations aren't brand new. They echo what came out in the Oprah interview and later reflections. But when they resurface in outlets like People magazine or through new interviews, they reignite the whole debate. Meghan's side frames it as self-protection and truth-telling. The palace side sees it as continuing to damage relationships that were already fragile. What's interesting is how these two narratives keep feeding each other. Harry and Meghan feel the family didn't protect them and even worked against them at times. The family feels Harry and Meghan's public storytelling made any private healing almost impossible. It's a classic breakdown in communication that's now playing out with real-world consequences, like whether Harry can safely bring his wife and children to the UK without major security and logistical fights.
Speaking of that UK visit, it's been anything but smooth. Harry has been going back and forth trying to secure proper protection for his family, and the government's Royal and VIP Executive Committee turned down the request.
Harry has said publicly he won't put his kids in a situation where they're chased by paparazzi the moment they land. That's a father's instinct, and a lot of people understand it. At the same time, the public and some taxpayers are asking why they should foot the bill for round-the-clock protection for someone who stepped back from royal duties years ago. It's a genuinely difficult spot, and the back and forth has only added to the palace's exhaustion. There's also been talk that Harry might end up coming alone or with limited family this time because of how messy the security and accommodation situation became. That alone says something about how strained things are. A visit that should be about seeing his father, possibly introducing the kids properly again, and doing positive work with Invictus has instead become another chapter of will they or won't they, and public arguments over who said what and when. Then there's the money side of the story, which always seems to bubble up. Reports and debates keep resurfacing about whether Prince Harry was left out of certain inheritances, including from Prince Philip's estate. The reality of royal finances is complicated. Much of the big institutional wealth, like the Duchy of Cornwall, goes to the heir to support the future king's role. Harry has received significant private inheritances from his mother, Princess Diana, and from the Queen Mother's Trust, which paid out when he turned 40. But the perception, and sometimes the claim, is that he was financially cut off or sidelined after stepping back in 2020. It sparks endless discussion about fairness, punishment, and how the royal system actually works, versus how it feels to someone on the outside of the inner circle. Harry has talked about needing to earn his own living, while critics say he still had substantial resources compared to most people. It's one of those topics that never quite goes away because it touches on deeper feelings about belonging and being treated equally. And now we have the latest development in Harry's long-running legal battles, the so-called Pillgate or phone hacking and privacy cases. In the recent High Court ruling against the publisher of the Daily Mail, Harry's multi-million-pound claims were dismissed in full. The judge found that the specific articles in question didn't have enough evidence of unlawful information gathering. This comes after Harry had some success in earlier cases against other publishers. Court documents in the ruling itself are now public, and they paint a picture of claims that ultimately didn't hold up in this particular instance. For Harry's supporters, it's another example of the press getting away with things. For critics, it undercuts the broader narrative of systematic victimhood. Either way, it's a significant legal setback at a time when Harry is already dealing with so much else publicly. When you step back and look at the whole picture, it's hard not to feel a bit sad for everyone involved. Charles is trying to balance being a father who wants some relationship with his youngest son and grandchildren against the practical reality that every interaction seems to generate new headlines and internal drama. William appears protective of the institution and still very angry about how things have played out. Harry feels he's fighting for safety, truth, and his family's well-being. Meghan feels she was never really given a fair chance inside the system. The question a lot of people are asking is whether there's still a realistic path to any kind of real reconciliation, or whether we're watching a slow, quiet freeze-out happen in real time. Charles's reported willingness to still try, even while setting firmer boundaries on things like last-minute accommodation requests, suggests he hasn't completely closed the door, but the patience clearly has limits, and the recent events around this UK visit show those limits being tested hard. What do you think about all of this? Do you believe the king is right to start pulling back and protecting the monarchy from more chaos, or should he keep trying to find ways to bring Harry and the grandchildren into the fold no matter what? Has Harry's approach with the books and interviews made healing impossible, or was he justified in speaking out because nobody inside was listening? And on the legal side, does this latest court loss change how you see the bigger story Harry has been telling about the press and the palace? I'd love to hear your honest thoughts in the comments below. The more we talk about it, the better we understand these complicated family dynamics. If you're new here or you've been enjoying the royal coverage, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next update when something else drops. We're going to keep following this story closely because it's far from over.
Thanks so much for watching all the way through. These situations are never black and white, and it's important we look at every angle. Take care of yourselves, look after each other, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.